Welcome back, everybody, to All Things Rangers. I am Mark Williams, your host, and as usual, I am joined by the one and only Mr. John Filkowski.
Alexi Lafreniere.
And is there more to that, or just Alexei Lafreniere?
No,
All right.
Just had to say it.
All right. And joining us once again, the host of the Off the Post podcast, Mr. Anthony LaRocco.
Rocking the barn since '85.
So we're going to start with the New York Rangers. And the Rangers, I'm getting tired of saying the Rangers had a bookended week. They beat the Buffalo Sabres in overtime on Thursday night, lost to them on Saturday night, and you wonder, how can any team ever lose to the Buffalo Sabres? Well, the Rangers found a way. And then they come out last night, curb stomp the Pittsburgh Penguins. I'm at a loss for words with this team, and I can't say this enough. So, John, start us off. Oh, by the way, there's a challenge. Neither John nor I can use the words fire Quinn or Quinn must go.
I mean, this is so weird. He comes back behind the bench, and in 4 straight games, they absolutely come out flat, and they don't play a full 60 minutes of hockey. They find a way to beat the Capitals in one of those games, lost to them in another, then they lose to the Sabres. They beat the Sabres, but barely in overtime. Another overtime winner. Lose to the Sabres, which is just pathetic. Sorry, it's just absolutely pathetic. And then they find a way to absolutely destroy Pittsburgh. They annihilated them in that game. Pittsburgh tried to make that game close, and then the Rangers were like, no, you're not doing that. And just decided to score more goals. And the kids got in on it, which that's what happens when you play the kids and you actually give them minutes and you trust them. So they decided to come on out and play, and that was a great game last night. For me, the efforts and starts and the lack of 60-minute play across the board from game to game is just frustrating and absolutely beyond confusing. I'm not going to go into Quinn on that, but it's definitely a concern. And for me, I get it. They can play up to their competition, but they also play down to their competition handily. And that's a big, big problem, especially for a team that's got playoff aspirations. So for Boston, who continues to win, has a soft schedule, and they've got games in hand while playing Buffalo, I think 5 times still they have them left. Yeah, 5
Correct.
times still. Yeah. I don't know how the Rangers make the playoffs in this. I really don't. I like what I see from the kids. I liked what I saw from the Rangers in the last game, especially against a tough team like the Penguins, who have absolutely had their number this year. So that's a good performance, so I'll stay positive there. But the Sabres loss in a shootout is that's absolutely inexcusable. It's pathetic. It's a joke. And they need to come out and play 60 minutes more consistently. So
I'm so disillusioned sometimes what to think about them, because constantly I find myself saying, well, they lost to the Buffalo Sabres. Can you believe they lost to the Buffalo Sabres? And my answer back sometimes is professional teams are going to lose to professional teams. Buffalo is kind of the loosest term for a professional team right now. That was a team that quit. That was a team that was done. I mean, Coach Granato has done a great job with them. They have won. They got points. I believe it was 5 straight by the time they beat the Rangers. So that was a team that was starting to kind of wake up a little bit. But Taylor Hall's checked out. I mean, I don't remember mentioning his name at all last week. Eric Stahl was already checked out because he was traded to Montreal. So Casey Middleset suddenly is doing well. It's amazing sometimes what a coaching change will do for a young player. So, not any of the banned words. So you can excuse them for laying an egg. The problem is they're in a situation where they need those points. You did this. You were lazy to start the season, made questionable decisions. Hell, Alexander Georgiev still wondering the next time he's going to play. Not that I'm against taking Shesterkin out in net at all. But I mean, if they throw Keith Kincaid in there in the middle of this, all bets are off. I might drive to the Garden just to punch John Davidson in the face. And it's just the way they're doing it right now. They could possibly push the Bruins, but you know what? You needed that point. There needed to be no excuses. As soon as Kyle Opozo tied that game, you couldn't go, all right, let's turn it up. Let's turn it up. No, you already screwed up. And then overtime, they were down. I don't even recall what happened in the overtime, to be honest. Should have put that in my notes.
Overtimes, hold on to the puck and not take a bunch of shots for about 2 to 3 minutes and then lose it. And then almost have Buffalo scored, and then they went to a shootout. So, yeah, that's that overtime if you want a summary of it.
And then they have the Pittsburgh game. Wow. Where was this team? Where was this team Saturday night against the Buffalo Sabres? Don't tell me it's complacency, because now you're in a playoff push. Now you're hot. That's the way you cool down a team. You just go, hey guys, we're playing the Buffalo Sabres. We got this. Oops, you don't. You just lost to a team that won twice since January.
You know, Mark, you kind of said it perfectly. You know, you mentioned how you understand that bad teams are going to beat teams that they should probably lose to sometimes. That's just the nature of professional sports. But then you mentioned a very good point, that the Rangers are in a playoff push. And any team that's fighting for the playoffs lives that lay an egg in Buffalo or lose to the Sabres, I mean, you don't deserve to make the playoffs at that point. You should be hungry to get these points and bank them. And it's not about taking them for granted or taking them lightly. It's about going out there, putting on your boots for 60 minutes and doing the job. And the Rangers, for whatever reason, they didn't do that. And that's not a playoff team to me. And, you know, the thing is, I think last week we mentioned, like, you got to make up ground. Last week, I believe they're 5 points out when we did this. I think as of right now, I think they're still 5 points out. So they didn't make up any ground. And that's the reason why it's going to be so hard for them to make the playoffs, because Boston's going to play Philly. They're going to play Buffalo. You know, the Rangers are going to be looking at the scoreboard, and these teams are going to be playing, like, for instance, the Bruins and the Flyers. Both teams they need to lose, but they're playing each other. So someone's going to get points. So it's always going to be a situation where the Rangers are kind of screwed either way. So that it makes it all much more important to beat these teams like Buffalo and get every single point, not give it any away. You know, it's just inconsistency, because then they go and destroy Pittsburgh. So it's just kind of inconsistent hockey. And I think it's obviously the younger players kind of growing and still learning the game. But and I'm allowed to mention David Quinn. So David Quinn needs to go. The lack of consistency is just, it's blatant. It's obviously blatant right there, right in front of you. Like when you have these bookend weeks where you have, a good game, a dud, another good game, or, it can't happen for a team that's trying to make the playoffs. So, I think they need to take a long, hard look in the mirror and realize that, they got to beat the teams they're supposed to win against if they want to make it close.
Before John jumps back in, this week could bury the Rangers' playoff chances, because they got another game against Pittsburgh and then 2 against the Islanders. Next week could then resurge their playoff chances, because they got 4 consecutive games against the Devils. Are you going to get up for the Islanders and then just lay down for the Devils a couple games?
Yeah, well, I can tell you right now, Anthony said it best. You can't afford to lay an egg. So I can't understand them laying an egg. I can't condone them laying an egg. It was pathetic. You should have never lost that game. And you're a playoff team playing with no urgency against the worst team in the league. Like that's on coaching. Like I didn't say the magical words, but I did say that's on coaching, because it is. And that's a fact. So this schedule could be an absolute nightmare for 3 games, because Pittsburgh's not going to let up another 8 goals in a consecutive game. My worry is the games against the Islanders, because the Islanders always get up for the Rangers. They always do it. No matter how bad they are, they always get up for the Rangers. It's their Stanley Cup. It has been for the last 30 years. That's how it's been. So the Islanders are going to be a problem. They're going to come out and they're going to play solid hockey. And if they get the lead, the Rangers are screwed in neither of those games. They're going to play Barry Trotz hockey. The Devils are going to look to play spoiled. They're going to get up for those games. So I would call them trap games. You got to win all 4 of those games. If you don't win all 4 of those games, kiss the season goodbye. Because like I said, this team has to play 750 hockey or better, probably closer to 850 hockey right now to make up the ground on the Bruins that they need to make up. So if you don't win these games, if you don't go on a massive win streak right now, kiss the playoffs goodbye, essentially, because Boston's not going to lose a lot of games with that cupcake schedule they have.
Well, the good thing that Rangers do have, Boston's next game is against Washington. So Rangers beat Pittsburgh, Boston loses, now you're down to 3. So, but you got to take a look.
I think after that is 2 against the Islanders. I will repeat what I said last night, and I say it. I said it on All Things Rangers, and I'll say it again. I like Colin Blackwell, and I want him on this team next year. I'd also like to keep Vitaly Kravtsov for longer than that, because it's like, hey, thanks for coming over, Vitaly. Welcome to the NHL. There you are on the 4th line. Enjoy.
You cannot play him on the 4th line. You've already had problems with this kid, keeping him over here. He went back to Russia. He wasn't looking good for a while. And then all of a sudden, he has a big year this year in the KHL. You bring him back over and you toy with him like this, not good. Not only that, but just remember this. They are playing a 28-year-old who's played just over 60 games, career AHLer, on their 2nd line because he's shooting an unsustainable 22+% right now. Remember, Mika Zibanejad shot 19.7, and I said before the start of the season that wasn't sustainable. Now you're going to tell me that a guy that's the same age as Zibanejad, who turns 28 in less than 2 weeks, is going to continue shooting at a 22% shooting percentage when he's played 60 career games in the NHL by the age of 28? Okay. You got me there, David. You got me there, Galaxy.
And it's also, think about where the goal of this is. Is the goal development? How is developing Kravtsov on the 4th line? How is that? And also, if you want to say, and I heard Dave Maloney's rant about this last night because I was listening to the Rangers radio. What 19-year-old, 20-year-old, 21-year-old deserves 2nd place ice time? Yeah, they got to earn it. Okay, Kravtsov did. Kravtsov earned it. Go see what you can do. Is he going to be somebody, or we're gonna put him with Rooney and Philip DiGiuseppe and go, hey, let's see what you can do? No, we're gonna get another Elias Anderson situation. And the thing is, with the Elias Anderson situation, that's where it should have worked, because Elias Anderson was supposed to be that 2-way defensive center and such. But I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind.
Here's the argument that I look at when it comes to this. Everybody talks about playoff experience and how playoff experience is vital for these kids. But how vital is playoff experience for these kids when they're a passenger? When they're going to play 5 to 10 minutes a game in that range, and they're going to be on the 4th line, and they're not going to get significant minutes, and they're not going to get assignments, they're not going to get power play time, they're not going to get penalty kill time. They're just going to be passengers playing sheltered minutes. To me, I would rather have them playing 10 plus minutes, anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes, getting power play time, and playing important minutes that matter in games, and getting trust and responsibility from your coach in a playoff push that pulls just short, as opposed to making the playoffs, getting smacked in the 1st round, and sitting on the bench for most of it. To me, you're not getting anything out of that.
You know what it reminds me of? Pains me to even say it. Nino Niederreiter playing with Jay Pandolfo and Marty Reasoner on the 4th line.
Oh, God. I never said that, by the way.
It was brutal. It was brutal, and it pissed him off and contributed to him asking for a trade behind the scenes. And hindsight's now is whatever, but it ruined him. At least for the Islanders, it ruined him. He's carved out a decent career, but that's the type of thing that can happen when you use a skilled player and you bury him on the 4th line with 2 plugs. Not going to work out good for anybody.
I mean, if you really want to go with Rangers history, a guy that they put faith in, jerked him around, had the coach slander him, and ended up carving out a pretty good career elsewhere.
I know exactly where you're going. Manny Malhotra.
I mean, it's come on. there should be a plan in place what to do with these guys. And I keep saying you can't have 4 number 1 line.
My other thing with all of this is that you have a bunch of kids that are over here trying to develop. This is the future of your team right here. This core that you're talking about, your Fox, Lafreniere, Hedel, Kako, Kravtsov, these are your guys that you have to develop for the future of the team. And if they don't develop the way that they do, or that they're supposed to hit their peaks, you lessen your chance at a Stanley Cup or multiple Stanley Cups in the future because you wanted to sacrifice that for one season just so you could play a bunch of veterans and push for a playoff spot and make the kids passengers. That's going to stunt their development.
So anyway, what'd you think about the Rangers week? How bad did it sting losing to my high school team? I mean, the Buffalo Sabres. And are we overreacting about development? Because a lot of people are saying that we are, and the Twitter sphere, most of them would agree with us. So tell us what you think. Put it in the comments below. Do you like Anthony's hat? I don't know why I threw that in. I just, figured, got to get him involved. Right. And how does the future look for this team if they keep playing 4th line guys ahead of their top prospects? I don't know. You know what? Prove me wrong. That's what I asked. Prove me wrong.
Did you like that video? Of course you did. So why not check out some more of our content? You can check the playlist right here or right here.
Your ideas are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.